Okay, sorry. I got too into the chapter and realized I was going too far, so all of a sudden I had to cut the tape when I was uploading it to YouTube. So let's finish this chapter. Ramona, stop this instant, Beavis ordered. Go out and play in the sand pile where you belong, or I'll. Frantically, Beezus tried to think of what she could do. Then she had an inspiration. Or I'll tickle you, she finished. I guess I do have some imagination after all, she thought triumphantly. Instantly, Ramona stopped crying. She hugged herself and stared at Beezus. Don't tickle, Beezus, she begged. Please, don't tickle. Then go out and play in the sand pile, like Mother says you're supposed to, said Beezus. Don't tickle, shrieked Ramona as she scrambled down her stool and ran out the door. Well, thought Beezus, it worked. It really worked. Feeling suddenly lighthearted, she tacked a fresh sheet of paper on her drawing board and sat staring at it. Maybe Ramona didn't have so much imagination after all, if she couldn't draw a picture of an imaginary green lizard. Well, if Ramona couldn't paint a picture of Ralph, she could. Ramona was not the only one in the family with imagination, so there. Beezus seized her brush and painted in another sky with bold, free strokes. Then she dipped her brush into green paint and started to outline a lizard on her paper. Let's see, what did a lizard look like? She could not remember. It didn't matter much anyway, not for an imaginary animal. She had started the lizard with such brave, bold strokes that it took up most of her paper and looked like a dragon. Beezus promptly decided the animal was a dragon. Dragons breathe fire, but she did not have any orange paint, and she was so late in starting the picture that she didn't want to take up time to mix any. She dipped her brush into pink paint instead and made flames come out of the dragon's mouth, only they didn't look like flames. They looked more like the spun sugar candy Beezus had once eaten at a circus, and a dragon breathing clouds of pink candy was more fun than an ordinary flame breathing dragon. Forgetting everyone around her, Beezus made the pink clouds bigger and fluffier. Dragons had pointed things on their backs, so Beezus made a row of spines down the back. They did not look quite right. More like slanted sticks than spines. Lollipop sticks, of course. At that, Beezus laughed to herself. Naturally, a dragon that breathed pink spun sugar would have lollipops down its back. Eagerly, she dipped the brush into red paint and put a strawberry lollipop on one of the sticks. She painted a different flavor on each stick, finishing with grape-flavored lollipop like the one that Wayne and Ramona had shared. Then she held her drawing board at arm's length. She was pleased with her dragon. It was funny and colorful and really imaginary. Beezus wondered what she would do next. Then she remembered that Ms. Robbins often said it was important for an artist to know when to stop painting. Maybe she'd spoil her picture if she added anything. No, just one more touch. She dipped her brush in yellow paint and gave the dragon an eye, a lemon drop eye. There, her imaginary animal was finished. By the time it was 4:30, most of the boys and girls had put away their drawing boards and washed their muffin tins. Several mothers who had come for their children were wandering around the room looking at the paintings. Those who have finished, wash your hands clean, said Miss Robbins. And I mean clean. Then she came across the room to Beezus. Why, Beezus, she exclaimed, this is a picture to be proud of. I didn't know whether a dragon should have lollipops down its back or not, but they were fun to paint, said Beezus. Of course he can have lollipops down his back. It's a splendid idea. After all, no one has ever seen a dragon, so no one knows how one should look. Miss Robbins turned to several of her mothers and said with admiration in her voice, here's a girl with real imagination. Beezus smiled modestly with at her toes while the mothers admired her pictures. Well, we'll tack this in the very center of the wall for the next week's classes to see," said Miss Robbins, very proud of her. It was fun to paint," confided Beezus, her face flushed with pleasure. "Of course it was," said Miss Robbins, as she carefully placed the picture in the center of the wall. "Didn't I tell you worked hard at paintings before?" Beezus nodded. That was the wonderful thing about it, she thought, as she scrubbed her muffin tins. Her dragon had been fun, while her flying horse had been work. And she had imagination, maybe not as much as Ramona, but real imagination just the same. "Here's a girl with real imagination," Miss Robbins had said. "The girl with real imagination. A girl with real imagination," Beavis thought as she left the building and ran across the park to the sandpile. "Come on, Ramona, it's time to go home," she called to her little sister, who was happily sprinkling sand on a sleeping dog. "And let's not forget Ralph. Good old Ralph." And that's the end of chapter 2, and we will continue to chapter 3.